Okay, in this lesson, we're going to be taking a line that has been graphed already, and normally you see an equation is attached to that line, y equals something. And the question in this lesson is, what is the equation that should go on here? Okay? And the method we're going to use is pretty simple. It uses a technique that we developed in the previous lesson. And here's that technique. Okay? We know that if we were given an equation such as y is equal to 2 over 5x minus 3, right? In order to graph that, okay, what we would do, we learned in the last lesson, was that this number here is called the y-intercept, and the letter that goes with it is b. And we know that that is where the line crosses over the y-axis. Okay, so we would go down to -3 down here, and we would plot a point right there at -3. And then we would use this number, this fraction, which is called the slope, and is represented with the letter m, to go up 2 and over to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. And we would plot another point. And then we would go up 2, 1, 2, and over 3. 1, 2, 3. So, and then we would connect the line through there. Okay? And we would put the equation on there. So what we learned was that this number was the y-intercept and this number was the slope. We're just going to do that process in reverse now. Okay, now instead of being given the equation and being asked to graph the line, we're given the line and being asked to figure out the equation. So we're going to use the exact same ideas. So let's come down to this first example. Okay, now we have this line here, and we just simply ask ourselves, where does this line cross over the y-axis? And if we trace the line, we see that right here, this point here, and that's at 4. So up here we write b is equal to 4, positive 4. That's the y-intercept. And then we've got to ask ourselves, what's the slope of the line, or the m value? So now we trace on the line here, and then we go up the line until we get to another point that's right on a grid line. So not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, right here. And then we continue that pattern, right? Not yet, right here. And we can see that pattern continues, okay? And now we ask ourselves, how do we travel from this point to this point? Well, if we draw our little right triangle here, we can see that we have to go to the right 1 and up 2, okay? To the right 1 and up 2, and that means our slope, remember, is the up and down number 2 over the left and right number 1, and this fraction happens to simplify down to 2, okay? So now we've got our m and our b, and remember from over here, the m value is the multiplier by the x. It's the number being multiplied by the variable x, and the b value is the number being added or subtracted from that term. So let's put that all together. The equation is going to be y equals the slope, which is 2, multiplied by x, and then plus the b value 4. And that's the equation, and we put that right on the line. Y is equal to 2x plus 4. Okay, so that's the process. All right, let's try it again on another example. Okay, we have a line here coming down. We first ask ourselves, what is the b value? Where does this line cross the y-axis? And we see it's right here. Okay, so the b value is positive 8. Now we need to find the slope. So we start here and we look for patterns. So we move along, and there's another point right here that's right on a grid line. Then we go down another one here, and we start to develop that pattern. Now we travel from one point to the next. So maybe from this one to this one. Down 1 and over to the right 1. So it's a -1 over +1. So the m value equals -1 over +1, which simplifies to -1. Now we've got our m and b value. We can write our equation. Remember, it's y equals something times x plus or minus something. So the m value is -1, x plus 8. Okay? Now, whenever it's a -1 times a number, we can simplify that to just -x plus 8, right? Just like if it was 1 times x, we would just write x. And now let's put that on the line. Y is equal to -x plus 8. Okay, and that's the process. We're just doing the reverse of what we did in lesson 5. Let's flip it over. Let me see here. What's a good one to do? Let's do number 3. Okay. Again, this one's a little interesting. So again, what's our b value? We're looking for our b value and our m value first. So the line comes down, comes down, comes down. Where does it cross over this y-axis? Well, it crosses right here. Now here's the y-axis. What number is that on the y-axis? 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. Okay, so the b value is 0. All right, it does cross the y-axis there. And now about the slope. So we start here. You can see the pattern. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there, there, and there. Okay, now pick any two of those points. Travel down and over. So it looks like it's down 3 and to the right 1. So our slope is -3 over 1, which simplifies to -3. And now put that information together. Y is equal to this value, -3x, and then plus 0. And again, when you have plus 0, you can get rid of it. So this simplifies to y is equal to -3x. Put that on the line. Okay. Let's go down and do a more of a special case here. Okay, we've talked about this. Actually, let's do number 7. Number 7's less strange than this one. So number 7, again, where does this line cross over the y-axis? Right here. So the b value is +4. Now let's look at the m value, the slope. Well, the points on here are here, 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 here. Okay, now let's think, how do we travel from one of these points to another one? Well, we go up and down, nothing, and then over to the right, 1. Okay, so the up and down is nothing, and the left and right value is 1. And now we got to think, what's 0 divided by 1? Check on your calculator if you're not sure. But this is actually 0. Okay? 0 divided by 1 is 0. Now let's put this information together. It's y is equal to 0 times x plus 4. Now, 0 times anything is 0, right? 0 times 5 equals 0. 0 times 2 equals 0. 0 times x is 0. So this actually simplifies first to y is equal to 0 plus 4. And finally, y is simply equal to 4. The x value completely disappears, which only happens for lines that are exactly horizontal. So this is a special case. Y is equal to just 4. Okay? Let's go to our last special case, 5. Now ask yourself, we're looking for the b value and the m value. okay? The b value is where does this line cross over the y-axis. So here's the y-axis. Where will this line cross the y-axis? It won't. So this does not exist. Now we got to check the slope. So pick any 2 points on there. Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. Now let's travel from one to the other one. So we need a fraction. How much do we go up? 1. And then how much do we go left and right? None. So this fraction is 1 divided by 0. Now, what's 1 divided by 0? You might think 0, but check with your calculator. Your calculator will actually give you an error, and that's because this number also does not exist. Does not exist. There's nothing that this equals. You can't divide by 0. It's infinity, and infinity is not a number. Okay? How many zeros fit inside 1? An infinite number. Doesn't exist. So now we've got this line where the b value doesn't exist and the m value doesn't exist. So how can we possibly write an equation y equals something times x plus something? We actually can't. This is a very special type. And if you looked at the horizontal line, was just simply y is equal to 4. This one, since it crosses the x-axis at 4, is actually x equals 4. Okay? So this is a side note. All vertical lines have equations in the form x equals the number that they cross the x-axis at. And all horizontal lines have the equation y is equal to the number where they cross the y-axis at. All other, and these come straight out of the same process that we did with these. Okay, so that's that. We won't do, please continue and finish numbers 4, 6, and 8, and then your homework will be the homework 5.6.